Hello, welcome.
Hello, everyone.
This is Ozlem. I'm a professional coach and co-founder of SparkUs. And today I'm with my business partner, Dani. I'll just give the microphone to him for a while.
Hello, everyone. Again, I'm Dani. I'm the other business partner of SparkUs. I'm responsible from design and product development. So today we are going to talk about how to design a better experience for coaching and mentoring programs. I'm giving the mic to Özlem to kickstart the journey.
Thank you, Dani. So while presenting, as you see, Dani is the designer part, I'm the coach part. I'm mostly responsible for the coaching content, the coach operations, and designing programs for your coaching needs. So Dani will take more the part about the design. I'll take the parts about the coaching content, let's say. So while presenting, we're going to split the roles like that. And I can start showing the presentation. Okay, thank you. So, what do we do at SparkUs? Let's start with that. We are a digital coaching platform where we support you to scale and digitally optimize your coaching, mentoring, and leadership development solutions. And we have different elements of our solution. One is we use interactive exercises to create an aligned framework for your coaching programs. We use the AI for personalized support. And also, of course, we have the human elements. So all the programs are a blend of a human interaction and digital technology of different sorts. And of course, then we have the insightful conversations happening with the humans, let's say. But let's get one step back and start talking about why are we so passionate about coaching when we're talking about the development field in the organization.
So I want to kickstart with the business side of it because we believe in everyone's unique contribution to the company. When there's an alignment between the personal passion of people and the business goals, and when that alignment is achieved in performance, you see the effects of it. So you'll have people that are focused in the same direction, and your business actually benefits from it, because when your people are performing better, you have better bottom lines and you have better top lines in your business.
And of course, it comes down to whatever is happening in the business, it's done by people around it. So we're always talking about business results, numbers, metrics, goals, etc. But they're all achieved by the human beings in the organization. And most of the learning and development efforts focus on the team level, where there are a bulk of people in the organization. We're talking about, let's say, trainings for first-time comers, the organization. Maybe we're talking about D&I efforts, some initiatives you started, town halls, etc. So there are a lot of things we do to reach people at a scale. And most of the time in these approaches, we are trying to give them messages. So it's most of the time we telling people as the HR, from the HR's perspective, telling them what to do, what to think about, what the goals are, maybe creating atmospheres where they speak about things with each other. But when it comes down to mindset shifts, it's a very individual journey. And most of the time, the efforts are focusing on the outer elements of the behavior, of skills, and the efforts generally land there. But when we're talking about the individual process, where people sit down and think about any change happening in the organization, any new initiatives that they need to do, how to tackle with AI, where to find the motivation, to be to upskill themselves, etc. It all comes down to the individual. Even though we try to, give efforts, give initiatives from the HR perspective on a wide range, again, it comes down to the individual. And the only tool we have to reach that individual mindset, to reach that inner world of the individual, is actually through coaching and the cousin, which is mentoring. Because in the individual coaching, we just don't only listen to each individual one by one, but we also give them a space for them to listen to themselves, actually. So it comes down to them figuring out what things are relevant for them, what is keeping them stuck, what are their dreams, what are their concerns, what is disengaging them, what is engaging them. All of them comes down to the individual level, and that's only possible among all our tools, only with coaching. That's why we are very passionate about it. And also the results also show about how coaching impacts an organization, an individual also in these organizations. So different research also shows us like the real business impact happens by higher engagement, by higher productivity, by higher communication skill for those individuals who are going through the coaching journeys in the organization. Having said that, it is not possible to reach everyone. So what is a typical coaching investment for an organization is actually twofold. Most of the time, organizations are either focusing on selected executives in the organization to coach, or they are going to, let's go on demand, let's go scale and bring it to everyone. But when we are looking into selected executives that we give the coaching to, we are much more able to provide a strategic framework. We can just say, these are the people, this is what we want to achieve when we're making this investment. It is easier to create a framework for those coaching journeys per individual. And it's then, of course, very easy to measure the outcomes. But in that case, we have a limited reach. Then if you go to the other extreme, where we give coaching on demand to everyone, whoever wants to receive coaching, we have a wide range. But since it's too wide, we generally miss the point of like, what's the framework? What are the topics that people are focusing on? We're making this huge investment. Yeah, people look happy about their coaching. Whoever is not happy with coaching, somebody is really listening to you, helping you to figure out things. But that's not the only outcome we want to achieve when we're making these investments. So it's not possible when we're generally going on demand to measure if our investment really paid off. And at the end of the day, it's very difficult to figure out with these type of two extremes to have an organization-wide impact while using coaching. Even though it's a great tool that will have an organizational impact, we know the results show it, but when we are designing programs, that link is most of the time missing. That's why we're going to focus a little bit about like, how can we create an organization-wide impact via coaching? And that's why we're together here today to focus on the different elements of how to design a coaching journey. And we bring you 5 steps for that. And the steps are like, we need to start by defining the strategic goal, designing the journey, and then supporting the right people, supporting with the right people, and also tracking, measuring, and improving. So these are the 5 steps we need to start focusing on when designing journeys. But let's go one by one. So we will start with defining the strategic goal. So when we're talking about coaching, most of the time people think about coaching as a tool, and some people I meet just say like, yeah, we have coaching in the organization. But I always say it's as if like saying, yeah, we have training in the organization. What are you using it for? Coaching is a tool, but it's really a Swiss Army knife. You can use it for different purposes. Even though it looks like this one tool, you can use it for your leadership development. And it will look different depending on who the leaders are. Are we talking about the top executives? Are we talking about mid-managers? Are we talking about first-line managers? All of their journeys would be different. You can use it for your talents. You can use it for your teams. You can use it for some strategic roles and career paths in the organization. You can use it for your D&I efforts. You can use it for a transformation that's happening in the organization, for some change or some innovation. And of course, you can use it for well-being purposes. And all of them and their journeys will look different. So we need to first figure out, who's the audience and where do we want to create the impact. And then comes the question of what is the business season of our organization? So different times for different organizations require different things. So an organization might be in the spring mode, like a new transformation just happened, there is a new vision, the team is newly forming, and on the individual level, the feeling is hope. And on that level, you basically need more to use coaching for some vision work, for instance. Or you can use it for some performance coaching while people are just starting. Or you can use it for team coaching when the team is just being formed to figure out their norms and everything. And again, come back to creating a vision together or strategizing that vision into practice. So that's one level you can use it. The other element is if the organization is in its summer mode, when there is high growth, on the business metrics are showing high growth, you can use it. On the team level, you might be doing a lot of hirings and promotions, and that means that new leaders are just being formed in the organization and new people are just getting into the organization. You need to maybe start thinking about, how do we maintain the culture? But on the individual level, even though things look great on the outside in terms of growth, newcomers, etc., on the individual level, generally the feeling is about performance anxiety. Will I be able to, keep up with this growth? Will I be adapting to this new role? Will I be a good leader? This is my first time being a leader. So the coaching efforts that you're going to use in this case could be more about leadership development for first-time leaders. It could be first 90 days for people to adapt, or providing coaching or mentoring to your talents to get into the system, perform better, but also to keep the culture across the organization with all these new formations happening. The organization might be in the autumn mode. So it could be either business as usual, or a new competition came into play, a new technology came into play, and it's no longer the same pace that we're dealing with. Maybe we need to get rid of some things. That kind of energy started. And there could also be some kind of disengagement in the team going on. The same energy of the summer period maybe is no longer there. And on the individual level, there is this feeling of good old days, and then there is a resistance to change. And in this case, we might be using coaching to upgrade the leadership of people. What get them here won't get them there, basically. We can use it for our upskilling and reskilling efforts for our talents to first make them gain the motivation. We can use it for innovation work. And last but not least, the organization might be in the winter mode, where there is a major transformation that happened. Maybe there will be layoffs in the organization. And on the individual level, there might be grief and also the anxiety of the unknown. And in this case, maybe you don't have many budgets, but you can still use coaching and mentoring for facilitation of transformation. You can give people areas of self-reflection to process all those difficult feelings. And you can also use it for outplacement, for career coaching efforts. So all of them can use coaching on a different way. And I generally like to pause here and give you a brief moment to look into this graph and think about where your organization is and what does your organization need at the moment. And I'll give the microphone to Dani for a moment to recap. Because from this moment on, we're going to bring it to design. So I'm going to give the word to the designer.
So why we invest a lot of time on defining the strategic goal? It's the most important part of your program efficiency. Since with any kind of development tool, we are trying to implement a culture that is both thriving for the individual and the business, as we stated before. And in order to have a thriving team in the business, we need to consider different aspects of the program that we are going to implement in order to generate that effect that we are looking for. The first one is, as Ozlem stated, is who are the focus groups, who will be targeted with the program, what are the strategic goals of the program, what are the desired effects of the program. So you start with the people that you will onboard into the program. When you're defining your strategic goal, we will come back to the who is getting coaching part in the coming bullets. But for now, for the strategic goal, you have to have a persona in mind and a desired effect. And this desired effect has two aspects. The first one is what you want to generate as a cultural effect in the individual. And the second aspect is where your company is at and what's the desired effect to the culture of the company. And you can summarize the effect based on where your company is. In this season slide, you can see different options. So you have to bear in mind both aspects are actually important when you're defining a strategic goal. Once you have that goal, that means at least you have a clear vision for the end of the program. That's your strategic goal. You have to be able to articulate what are the effects that you want to generate, and that once you have that, here comes the second step. Can we just change the slide?
I will.
Yeah. So we have to design the journey. So once you have that in mind, what you want to create and for who and why you want to create that effect, then you have to dig into the designing the journey of that development. So it has many aspects. I will give them back to Özlem to provide you a deeper understanding of the design process. Then I will come back to recap that as well.
Yeah. So as Dani mentioned, there could be many different journeys, and each one of them would look differently for the participants and for the organization also, like where we intervene, etc. So I brought to you a case that is the most known, let's say, for the individuals, for the HR basically, because it's the most used coaching element is generally in organizations, the traditional coaching for leadership. And this is generally how the organization's coaching journey looks like. It's almost like a given journey. There could be some optional items, some must items, but all across the world, generally traditional coaching looks like this when we're talking about leadership. So it starts with chemistry sessions, and then there is a coach selection. We can integrate some assessments and 360s to the process. What is a must is goal setting between the coach and the leader who is being coached. We can integrate also the leader's manager into the picture and have a three-way meeting with their participation. Then there could be the sessions, like there will be introductions, of course, then start to have the impact, etc. So this whole journey, when you look into it, if you just say each one is happening like once every 2 weeks, is almost a 6 to 8, even sometimes 12 months journey per individual. So it's a long journey for everyone. And while all this journey is happening, generally the HR comes at the beginning and at the end. So you're either there in the goal setting process, and at the end the three-way closure just to see if things went well, and then there is no data flow to you. So this is the typical journey, as I mentioned, across organizations. But what you can do, especially if you want to go on a scale basis, not just few people that you selected for the leadership training, leadership coaching, and if you want to move more to the side of let's bring coaching to all our mid-managements, then this is a very lengthy journey, and it's very open to a lot of risks since you cannot see what's going on inside. So what is possible? Let's dive into that. But in order to go there, I need to define what SparkUs does. So some of the things that we're going to talk about will make more sense to you. So we have a coaching technology where we customize things for our clients. We can customize, obviously, the branding and everything, but we can customize journeys. For leadership, for instance, people can go through, they can set their goals on the platform, or if they're going through module by module trainings, we can integrate whatever they learned in the module into the platform. Let's say situational leadership, we can give them sets of exercises as if they've been to the coach, and the coach is asking them questions. They will be able to do some work on the platform. And then that design is done, and then people come to the platform, and then they have an AI-supported journey, which increases their readiness for the coaching conversations. So that first few sessions that would have happened with a coach's presence are happening via self-reflective exercises on the platform. And then they're matched with the coach on the platform. And then at the end, you can have the in-depth analytics, which we're going to come back to after a while. So using these elements, actually, you can design a different type of journey for all your leaders that would kind of imitate the traditional journey, but make it more effective and optimal for a large scale. So the journey would look like this. There will be a kickoff webinar to all those people who would be going through this journey, where we describe them, like what would the journey would look like. And then those dotted lines present what is happening on the platform digitally. So they can set their vision on the platform. They can self-assess themselves. We can integrate your company's competencies to the picture, or if your organization already has done an assessment for the leaders, we can integrate those assessment results. They can set their goals. We can decide to involve their managers to give feedback and approve the development goals. We can decide to integrate 360s to the picture, where they receive 360 feedback from other people. And then they do their coach selection on the matching algorithm of the platform. So a process in the traditional approach that takes almost 2 to 3 months is done just in 2 to 3 weeks in the platform's presence. And once they start their coaching sessions, rather than having intros, already they've done some thought process, their self-awareness about themselves increased, and that then turns into the coach also reads through their content. So from the first session, they can just start having the conversations about development areas. So the impact starts from that first moment that they meet with the coach. And then we can add additional digital coaching exercises, depending on the needs of the audience. And this whole journey then is completed in a couple of months, rather than having it for the whole year, depending on how many sessions you want, what other elements you integrate. But generally around 3 to 6 months, the journey is over. And while all this is happening, since we were talking about the technology, you as program managers would have access to a live dashboard, and you would have a pulse check of how the things are progressing when we're talking about a large-scale program like this. And the platform will take over also the follow-ups and the nudges and everything. So that will also support the coachees to stay on track. So this is one of the designs that we tend to do. I think we've done, I suppose, thousands of people passing through these journeys in the past. But this is a very typical journey that we design for organizations. So what are the elements of design in this journey, Dani?
So since we have done dozens of program designs, we realized there are few different layers to be approached in different stages of the design. The first one is the journey itself, in terms of timing, in terms of the duration of the program, and from that point on, we have to think about strategically aligning the coaching or mentoring process with your current strategic goals. That's one layer. So focusing on the right areas and designing the duration as well as the process of the attendee is the first layer. On top of that layer, you have the nudges and the reminders. So you have to be aware that any development program can lose some momentum over time. So you have to be aware of in-person touches in order to keep the program in a certain momentum and keep the attendees in a certain engagement with the program. So that is the communication layer. And on top of that communication layer, you have a layer of other parties. So how will you interact with the manager of that employee? How you inform them, where they will come into the picture, where they go out of the picture? Is there be an alignment process with the mentor or coach in terms of the development goal? Is there an alignment with manager in terms of the development goal? So all these have to be addressed in the process. And when we are focusing on design, as you see on the slide, we most of the time we focus on after kickoff until the development and tracking evaluation, so until the end of the program. But we have pre-kickoff and post end of the program as well. That is a part that you have to bear in mind when you're designing such a program. That includes the internal communication of the program for potential attendees, collecting different needs from potential attendees as well. If you're running a mentoring program, calling them into the program as well, and awarding them at the end of the program, and also collecting necessary pulse checks during, before, and after the program as well. So when you're designing a journey, you have different layers of design that you have to be aware of. And just to recap, the journey of the attendee, where you want to have the information, so your HR measurement layer, the communication layer, and other personas layer before and after the program, including into the process.
So we have so far defined the strategic goal, designed the journey, and now it's time to select who we're going to support. So that is also a very important part of this journey. So when we're talking about coaching a large mass of people, most of the time, not everybody is on the same level of readiness to the coaching. We know that like there are maybe 5 to 10% that are completely ready. They're very excited. They maybe know about coaching. They had their thought process. They have a burning issue. So they're very enthusiastic to start their coaching process and benefit from coaching. And then there are the others on the resistant layer who are like, whatever you do, they will not even show up. Or if they show up, they won't even really, give themselves to the process. They're just going to be there, answer questions, but not really interested, etc. So it's a waste of energy for both parties to spend time there. But then the majority is in the middle. So those people in the middle generally do benefit from coaching. They generally come to the sessions without knowing what coaching is, without having any thought process, without having any real awareness of their burning issues. Maybe some kind of, pains they're feeling, but they're having some symptoms. They don't name things yet. So for them to really grasp how coaching would support them, it generally takes 3 to 4 sessions. So research also shows that they need that, first hello moments into the process. And because of that, most organizations say that their typical number is 6 sessions. Then there are like the intro sessions and the outro session, around 8 sessions. Some organizations go up to 12. So when organizations are thinking about coaching and saying like this is our standard, of course HR most of the time thinks about that middle population, saying that okay, so this is the best ratio we have. But actually, when you're using a technology, it is possible to think things differently. What you can do basically is you can filter out those who are completely resistant. They won't even log in to the platform to even select a coach or to start any part of their exercises. So that will give us the notion of like, okay, so for those people, we're going to give the platform. If they don't use it, then we will not give them any coaching sessions, no coaching investment. We can use that investment to some other place where people would really benefit from it. And for the other extreme, those who are completely ready, you actually don't need 6 to 12 sessions. They're already ready. So less is more for them. Actually, it's the other way around. If you make them go through a lengthy process, their energy would start dying out. That's why you prefer to give them less sessions, because they will get their results and that will be it for them from a very short period of time. And for the mid group, actually, when you're using technology and using those self-reflective exercises on the platform, what generally happens is, as I mentioned in the previous section, some part of the coaching work is already done digitally. So those intro sessions are already done via self-reflective exercises. So what is possible is you can take out those first 3 to 4 sessions out of the picture, and you can arrange something around 3 to 6 sessions per person to get those results that you were aiming at. So let's start from that other extreme where you were thinking about like bringing 6 to 12 sessions to everyone. Now we are economizing different elements of the participants. So this way of redesigning everything will actually save you a lot of money. You can save up to 79% of your coaching budget when we think about the other extreme where you're going to give everyone 6 to 12 sessions versus you're going to pinpoint who needs what and give them the right amount of support that they would need. And then comes the moment of like, who am I going to support them with? Yes, I know who will be the people that I'm going to support, but actually, what is the right people? What is the right type of support that I need to give to them?
So when you're selecting the right people to support the right people, you have to think about your strategic goal again. And based on your strategic goal, there's always a right set of matching. So for example, if you're trying to coach your high-ranking leaders, you want to match them with coaches who will be best equipped to develop them in their presence, in their leadership skills, and in their beings. Or, for example, if you're trying to coach your talents so they can draw their career lines, maybe you want to work with younger set of coaches. When you want to generate an intergenerational communication within the company, then maybe mentoring is your program to go. Or if you have an issue of the mid-level manager that have issues with their team members, then you might like to train them to become coach-like leaders and coach them with a similar seniority group of coaches. You can use peers, you can use reverse mentors. For example, we run many reverse mentoring program that helps specifically to close that generational gap, as well as increase the engagement of the young talents in the company. So you have a lot of different options. As long as you have the necessary design, the preparation, and the right set of matching, you'll have a better success in the end result. And one more thing before I give the mic to Özlem, you don't have to only focus on one type of matching. For some strategic programs that has a longer duration, for example, a 1.5 year succession programs that requires a coaching support or a modular training support, that can be combined with external coaches, sometimes internal coaches or mentors, and sometimes you want to combine reverse mentoring for them so they can have a better understanding, a grasp of their younger team members in the company. So whatever your approach to the program, you can have a mix of these matchings, and the only north star that you have to be aware of is your strategic goal, and that will bring us to the next step 5. So I will keep it for me, but at the end of the day, this right people, when we mean support with the right people, that doesn't only mean having the right matchings, because when we talk about right people, most of the time we think about having the right matching within that specific group. But actually, as a strategic HR, you have to be also aware what type of groups are you going to provide as a matching tool for that individual.
Yeah. And so it's nice to underline maybe here that our platform is a one-stop shop, and you can actually integrate your internal coaches, mentors, peer coaches, etc., into the platform as well to run those multiple programs. So maybe that needs to be said. But also, I also want to underline that you can use these different tools also in different formats. It could also be one-on-one coaching we're talking about, but it could also be team coaching. It could also be group coaching, or group mentoring, gathering people all together and having them discuss certain things. So we can all think about, what's the dosage of that support and what type of support we can deliver them. But if we say that you just say that you will have professional coaches, you want to work with professional coaches, then most of the time people ask okay, so how do you select your coaches? So I just want to open a parenthesis over there. So we have a handpicked group of coaches that we continuously supervise, and they're able to deliver coaching all across the world in different time zones, in different languages. Yes, of course, they're all credentials. That's our starting point. But that is not just enough, just having the credentials. That's I would say, the hygiene factor. We also look for their business experience, business acumen. We observe their sessions. We just try to see if they are what we call sparklers, do they have that same culture that we want to provide to our clients. It could be about their approach to diversity. It could be about being a lifelong learner. So those kind of elements are also important for us. And we tend to keep our coaches in different tiers. So maybe for an outplacement program, You don't need the most masterful coaches. You just need a listening ear to deliver coaching sessions to the people who are experience the grief of an organization shrinking, versus for a very strategic program, top level transformation, maybe you would need master coaches. So, we can deliver those kind of different support to your organization. There are coaches who are, trained as team coaches as well. So, we can create different journeys, also in terms of the different type of support that the coaches can deliver. So finally, we set the goal, designed the journey, selected the right people to coach, and also we designed, how we will support them. And now the journey started. But is it that just that? As I mentioned, if we're just talking about traditional coaching, that is generally just that. From the HR perspective, until you hear about things at the end of the journey. But when we're talking about a technology where actually you're able to watch a lot of elements, and you're able to measure a lot of elements and make a lot of improvements along the way. So what are you able to track at the minimum? So you can see which coaches are engaged to this process. If you've integrated your company competencies, you can see which competencies where people are more focusing on in their development journey. If the integrated manager handshake, which managers are really supporting their teammates in terms of their development, and what is the evaluation of the manager versus what is the evaluation of the employee, and that where are the gaps really in this organization. You can see the session performances, development goal realization, how people are progressing towards their development goals. Of course, you can keep the net promoter scores about the journeys. And if you're talking about a large-scale program where we have more than 50 participants, we can actually have some insights reports that we can sit down together with the coaches and understand what's going on in the organization. By not breaching the confidentiality, of course, we don't pinpoint personal stories, but we have a sense of what is a theme all across the people who are going through the coaching journey. And that can shed a light to a different angle to the organization, not just the development journeys of each individual, but it can also support the organizational development from a different perspective. And while all this is happening, you're able to watch things on the live dashboard. Shall I give the word to you, Dani? I just recognize that yes. you look like you're going to say something.
Yes, I just wanted to underline the measurement design into the process as well. So when you're designing your journey, it's also important to have the right measuring points into the program, so you can have real-time adjustments during the program. Gone are the days where we have to wait for the end of the program to collect the feedback of the attendees and understand what went good, what went bad, and reiterate in the next cohort. Today everything is real time. You have to have a team of experts watching closely how the program is developing, going, and I talked about the momentum. What are the markers of that momentum and how they are going? So depending on that information, you want to have a set of tools that you can implement in time interventions to the program. So that's another design layer. You have to design the measurement based on your strategic goal, as well as you have to have some gauges that you have to watch carefully. If something is going, let's say, other than the way you expected, then you have to intervene. And that's part of the design process, as well as a part of the project management process as well. And what I can say is, out of these dozens of programs that we design, the best uh, part of what we do is when we go to the program, we know that our plans won't survive the kickoff. After the kickoff, we collect the information, and since agility is important, we integrate whatever we learn from the attendees, whatever we learn from the coaches, whatever we learn from you, HR, depending on your goal. We have to integrate that into the program management during the program. We cannot wait for the next cohort. We have those tools to mitigate the decrease of motivation, the decrease of momentum. We can turn the tide and re-engage the program. Again, you have to have a tool set to implement when the things go awry. There's a question, Ozlem.
I will come to the Q&A after, at the end. There are some good questions there. I can see that. But I just want to recap what we've been discussing. So it's important to note here, like what Dani mentioned about the measurement is like having a live dashboard. I mean, our customer success team sends out the reports to you, also benchmarks to you, saying like, okay, so the program is going like this when compared to other benchmarks. So we provide you with that consultancy. But what is also possible is like you don't need to wait for those reports. You have a live place where whenever you're doing any reporting, etc., you can just go to the platform, watch things live. Download reports and share it and also correlate it with your data, which is also, I think, important. So one level is the data that we provide to you, but then there is the other layer where you can correlate it with your engagement scores. You can correlate it with your retention rates, etc., just to have even a bigger meaning making out of these efforts that you have. So these are the 5 steps. Yeah, go ahead, Dani. Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in and talk a little bit about the integrations part. So for a coaching platform to perform smoothly, it requires a set of integrations into the program as well. So what I missed to say at the design process, you also have the layer of integrations that works into the measurement and seamless experience of the attendee as well. So the simplest integration is single sign-on. So the user just logs in from your own login screen, and they can reach SparkUs with your own branding, with your own, let's say, skin. But on top of it, it's also important to integrate the data that you already have into the design process. So if you collected their development goals elsewhere, you have to mirror them into the process. Or let's say if you had an assessment made beforehand, you can integrate the results of that assessment into the coaching program. Or in this case, if you want to utilize the program engagement data, you can correlate them with your already in place performance tracking systems or any other, let's say, data that you have that you want to correlate. And that's important because those are the connections that you can really substantiate the effects of your design program. And those are the places that you can turn back to drawing board and say, okay, this program performed well because it generated real value in these numbers.
So to sum things up, so we talked about the 5 steps: defining the goal, the strategic goal, designing the journey, supporting the people, supporting with the right people, and tracking, measuring, and improvement. When you use these elements, actually you're in the right order and have a notion around every one of them, you can actually provide coaching solutions from the top executives to individual contributors, where the level of use of technology would differ, the goals would differ, but then you would be able to support your initiatives on a larger scale. And what we wanted to say is, to sum up, we can support you in designing and having an aligned framework for your organizational goals and organizational needs. We can provide you with a fast-paced transformation for individuals on time and cost effectiveness. You can have consistency all across the organization when you're having large-scale coaching, and especially mentoring, because most of the time not all the mentors in the organization have the same bandwidth to deliver those support, or the leaders that we're expecting to deliver coaching don't have the same experience. So creating that consistency all across is especially important when you're having internal programs. We can, as Dani mentioned, give extensive coaching analytics for data-driven decision making, and we can streamline project management and be your digital headcount when you're running programs. So this is the basics of what we're going to share today. And I just love to go back to the questions and answer the questions that we received.
So I want to summarize the question. It's a very important question. We see over and over again that when companies are running coaching programs, they ask for a certain business acumen that somehow relates with the people who are going to be coached. And the question is, what does the process look like to find the right coaches with the right background that will align with the client needs? So there is two different approaches, and I will give the mic to Ozlem after my preliminary response, let's say. When you're running a coaching program, it's more important to empower the employee to make the right selection. So they are aware of the background of their coach that they can have their coaching process with. And sometimes you want to design with the best intentions to match them with an alignment in their background, but sometimes it has the reverse effect if they have clashing experiences. Or sometimes you really want to make that connection obvious, but at the end of the day, what really counts is the employee, what the attendee of the program, what they want, what kind of support will be most effective for them. And in that case, you can only create a pool of coaches that is strategically aligned with your goal. And after that, you have to give the choice to the rightful owner of that process. They are the ones who will decide who will be their best match. You can only, and our matching algorithm does that as well. So we can shortlist a set of coaches that we believe are the best matching coaches, but they can always go further and they say, okay, I want to receive coaching from the other end of the spectrum because I want this kind of. So it's their choice. And it's important to empower the employee to make that choice and take the responsibility of it. And that requires a certain set of information to be provided. So it's not just a guesswork, it's just a more educated selection for the employee. That's why we always show a short list of matches with the set of information that provide a basic understanding of what kind of journey it will look like. Özlem,
Yeah.
sorry if I
Yeah.
just overstepped.
No, very, very, very relevant. I would also add one more layer to it. So it's not just the background of people on their CVs. Sometimes, as Dani mentioned, it might be counterproductive even. Because in coaching, we know that if you're talking about mentoring, it's another story. But if you're talking about coaching, sometimes going into the session with some curiosity, even sometimes asking a kind of a silly question, it makes you reconsider the basics while even talking about the flow of things to someone who doesn't know the jargon of that specific field. Then sometimes you have a different perspective into things. So that unknowing sometimes helps to overcome assumptions from the coach's side also, but for the coachee to revisit the basics. So that's a very important starting point. But of course, it's also important to have a business understanding, like to understand what an organization's challenges might be, is a good starting point. So not necessarily the fact that the coach has the same exact experience that you have, that's not maybe that important, but having a notion of what might be the dynamics is an important starting point. But that's only one layer. Then there is the other layers of who the coach is and who the coachee wants to work with. Some people prefer to work with people that have a background in, let's say, psychology. Some people like to work with someone who has been in the HR role before. Some people have other questions about, let's say, they want to do some creative work. They just want someone who can be, creative with them. So like people have different preferences. It's not just the CV. So we also need to understand that level. I'm aware of the time. Do we have? Yeah, we have other questions that are waiting.
Just I just wanted to end up in a higher note.
Okay.
It's your responsibility to provide a right and experienced set of coaches, or as we mentioned, right match of potential matches, the right pool for your employees. However, at the end of the day, you have to hold them accountable to make the right decision, and they have to be aware that's their decision, and that's part of the empowerment process. And for the second part of your question, yes, sometimes organizations are lacking the right preparation to put together that pool. However, that's one of the most important parts of the design process, rather than putting together the right pools, because once you have the right brief, you can put together the right pool of people pretty easily. And for the other questions, I will just quickly answer a few of them, and maybe one by one. Özlem, you take one, I take one, and we complete there. The other question is how we utilize analytics that is provided by SparkUs. So you can utilize the analytics in different, let's say, in different ways. The first way is you use the analytics to make the right interventions at the right time. Analytics gives you an extensive idea on what is the focus of the group of attendees, how well they are engaged into program, what are the current, let's say, engagement level of the attendees. So during the program, you'll be focusing on delivering what's designed, and you make tweaks. So for those tweaks, you need these analytics. And after a while, you can use the analytics of the development goals, analytics of the self-assessment or the manager assessment, and the link between them, in order to gain a deeper understanding of what's the real effect of the program, and that's most likely will be done either in the, let's say, in right in the middle of the program. Let's say if you have a 6 months program, at the third month, it's important to have an understanding of how the program is going. So you can also run a supervision session there, and that will be combined with the analytics. That will give you a better understanding of the effects of the program in terms of the company culture. And after the program, you can also utilize this analytics to correlate with your already in place performance data, already in place engagement data, and you can compare them, and you can see the effects of the coaching or the program that you're running into those numbers as well. And
so the other question is about, can you once more give the definition of the right people that are much more worth to invest in the organization? I would say actually almost everyone is worth to invest for coaching in the organization, except those who are resistant to the process. So for those who are resistant, don't try to, even invest, because that would be waste of all the resources, time, budgets, energy, and you can map them when you provide the platform to them. But of course, by saying almost everyone, I come back to the original first level where we're talking about the strategic goal of the organization. So if it's within your strategy, of course, it's a nice effort to give coaching to everyone, but what do you want to achieve is the core question. And then you can select the core people that will create maybe that ripple effect in the organization, or those people who are the most relevant for that efforts that you have, for that strategic goal that you have. So it comes down, it starts with defining the goal again, and then figuring out who would be the right people, where do I want to create that impact in the organization, and then go to those people, and eliminate among those group, eliminate those who are resistant, and then stick to those who will be benefiting from the coaching investment that you're making.
Last but not least, Selin just asked, how can we ensure the sustainability of development programs? So actually, this is related with the other question as well, because at the end of the day, you don't want to coach everyone by one. You want to generate that coaching culture within the company so that everyone will be contributing to the value proposition of the company, and they'll do their best to generate value for the company they're working for. And when we are talking about the sustainability of the development programs, it is related with three things. The first one is generating value. If you design the program in such a manner that it generates real business impact, that will ensure the sustainability of the program. So that's one aspect. The second one is the attendee level. Whoever is joining the program, your employees, your leaders, they have to feel the added value of that program, so they can become the champions of the program into coming years. So we run many programs that somehow the first year it was a struggle to find a set of attendees to complete all the seats. For example, a program for 25, we only could fill 20, maybe 21. But the year after, actually attendance just boomed, because all the last year's attendees becomes the champion of the program. So you have to be.
Then we have waiting lists, right?
Yeah. So, and the third aspect is you have to bear in mind the sustainability of the program. We saw when we go into few design process, we saw internal resistance in the company because sometimes bad design not only failed the program but also failed the belief into the HR in the company culture. So the third aspect is really important. You have to go for um, the right set of people with the right intention. Don't set
Yeah.
huge goals, set attainable but challenging goals,
Yeah.
and deliver them so you can build that trust between the HR team who's running the programs. It might be development team, academy, whoever is running the program. You have to build that trust. So three aspects: the business value, the buy-in of the attendees, and so they become the champions. They have to stay happy, and your current brand value internally. You can start with a really low brand value, and you can build upon it. And after a while, you realize whenever you just launch a new program, people are running for it because you design them well. And I hope that answers the questions. Özlem, have I missed something about the sustainability part?
No, you covered it all well, and I'm aware of the time, so I'm very grateful for those who have stayed longer with us on the call. And if you have any questions, keep on posting, and we will come back to the chat box and continue to answer them when we receive any additional questions. So thank you all. I hope you all enjoyed the session. You got something meaningful out of it. And we're hoping to see you in the next webinars. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.